2. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for 2. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo.
What is going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 195 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are live every Wednesday night. Normally, it's a special night. We're doing a Thursday night show. Of course, we're live on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. Syndicated in all major podcast networks and streaming in the Going for 2 app for iOS and Android. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. We got a contest going on right now. If we hit 1,000 subs by the NFL draft, we are giving away one of our personal league podcasts. It's an entire podcast dedicated to your league. Along with that, you will get 12 No Kickers, as you can see my hat right here. Ryan's got his hat on as well. No Kickers t-shirts, custom with your league podcast name on the back. So we are giving away one of those packages. It's a $450 package that we're giving away if we hit 1,000 subs by NFL Draft. I think last I checked, we were at 724. So please hit that subscribe button. All right, guys, we got a great show tonight. We have a great show. We just followed up a great show. Jay and Dan had Jake Seeley on before us. It's doubleheader night, so we had to come strong tonight. But first, let me give you my my intro to my co-host, Ryan Searfellas. Ryan, what's up, man?
Not much. Enjoying my new setup here for the show.
Yep, Ryan got a fancy new little setup. Got 2 monitors. Got the brand new studio background. He's doing it big right now.
Trying to catch up to you, man.
And as I mentioned, we had to come strong, you know, because Jay and Dan had Jake Seeley on, so we had to bring on a heavy hitter tonight. We have on tonight one of our fan favorites, Mr. John Lobb. He is from the Sports Illustrated Draft Bible as well as the Fantasy Football Diehards. John, what is going on, man?
Hey, man. First, I'm upset I don't have one of those fancy hats. I don't know why I didn't get one in the mail. You know,
Jeff made me pay. Jeff made me pay. And he didn't even give me the discount.
I like you guys so much. I'm missing the UConn game in the Big East tournament, but I'd rather be with you. I'll watch my Huskies tomorrow.
All right, hey, that deserves a hat, John. I'm gonna get it in the mail for you. I'll get your address and I'll send you a hat for sure. All right, so we have a huge show tonight. We're going to be going through. We've done this now. This is the 3rd year in a row we've done this, John. I think you should just literally book this day pretty much for the rest of forever, because we're just going to bring you on every year at this time and do this March Madness prospect draft, because it's a fan favorite, it's a hit, and of course they love you as well. But quickly, just kind of plug what you got going on. You got a few new things going on since the last time you were on. You got the Draft Bible going on right now.
Absolutely. This 2nd year in a row with my partner Matthew Hicks on NFL Draft Bible. Our draft seminar series is up. We have 25 players, I think, already up. And every Sunday night we come out with 5 more. So this Sunday will be another 5 episodes. Each one's about 10 minutes long. And this is actually my 8th year doing my written profiles of the prospects on footballdiehards.com.
Good stuff, good stuff. All right, like I said, we got a packed show, so we're going to hit the news and notes now.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, news and notes. Everyone hates bad trade offers, right? No one wants to be that guy. Never make a bad trade offer again. Get the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Visit goingfor2.com/DTC to sign up and get it for only $15 a year, guys. A year, not a month, a year. That's right. Go to goingfor2.com/DTC. Get the best trade calculator for only $15 a year. Stop guessing, start calculating. All right, so we got a bunch of news and notes that we're actually going to just fly through these really, really quick because we have so much to get to with these rookie prospects. I just wanted to go through them really quick. Tagged, obviously, a couple guys got tagged. Chris Godwin, Al Robinson, the two big ones. Then we had a few guys that weren't tagged. Kenny Golladay, Aaron Jones, Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis, Hunter Henry, Chris Carson. Ryan, I'm going to go to you really quick. On of those guys I just mentioned, just give me one guy that you want to talk about.
I want to just talk about my pure rage for both Chris Godwin and Allen Robinson getting tagged right now, because it's kind of sucks for fantasy-wise. Chris Godwin is stuck in a crowded receiving core with Mike Evans there, maybe Antonio Brown. They seem to love Scotty Miller. I mean, it's a nightmare. He can't ever hit that number 2 where you had him before, Jeff. Yeah. And Allen Robinson has no quarterback up now. If they somehow pull off Russell Wilson like the rumors are spreading, I want to change my mind. But as is, I hate both. Like, it's just miserable.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I'd love to, especially Allen Robinson. I mean, poor guy has had some of the worst quarterbacks in the history of the NFL.
You're not excited about Alex Smith throwing the football back?
Not at all.
Blake Bortles might be his best quarterback he's ever had.
Yeah, that's pretty sad when you say that.
He's saying a lot.
Yeah, exactly. John, give me one of those guys you want to talk about, whether they're tagged or not tagged.
I would like to talk about Kenny Golladay. I am absolutely 100% all in, praying to the fantasy gods that he ends up in Miami with Tua Tagovailoa. Tua needs a playmaker. Miami has built this team the right way. From the inside out, their front 7 on defense is good. Their secondaries is good. Their offensive line is improving. They have a franchise quarterback. I am not going to judge a rookie quarterback who had a serious hip injury, returns in COVID, and disappoints people. I've got to see him in a 16-game schedule. And let's not forget, he was throwing the football to players I don't even remember other than Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki. And the running back stable, please. Remember, you bring in Golladay, you draft a big boy on the offensive line, let's smash some mouths, and then you get Travis Etienne or Najee Harris in the second round or with your other pick. Golladay would look glorious in a Miami Dolphins uniform.
I love it. That's a perfect landing spot for him. My spot for him was that they're going to convince Deshaun Watson to stay in Texas by giving them Kenny Golladay. Kind of like, here's your gift, Deshaun. Here's Kenny Golladay. Please stay here in Texas. But that would be another good place, I think, for him if Kenny Golladay can step into that role that was vacated by Hopkins. But who knows where Watkins even ends up at this point. All right, real quick, I just wanted to plug one more time our personal podcast. I mentioned at the top that we have a huge giveaway, but if you do want to purchase one, you can go to goingfor2.com/leaguepod. We've done about 10 of these already. They're awesome. They're 1-hour shows. You send us all your information on your league. We break down every team. We rank them. We have a panel of 5 members, including myself. So we'll rank them. We'll go through them one at a time, break down trade ideas. We'll break down your strengths, your weaknesses, what you could do in the draft, those kind of things. So again, goingfor2.com/leaguepod, and you can purchase one of those on the page there. All right, let's kick off this round of 32. We will actually go through the East Division completely first before we move on to the rest of the divisions. And the way I did it, I took the top 4 players, kind of created their own division. Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Jamar Chase, and Devonta Smith are the top 4 players. And we just kind of broke them down, like you would in the March Madness. I ranked them, the worst of the seeds went against the number 1 seed, and so on and so forth throughout the contest here. So the first one I have is Najee Harris versus Kylan Hill. And we'll just talk about the losers in these rounds. We don't talk about the same guy over and over and over again. So Najee Harris, of course, won this matchup 88% to 12%. I guess Kylan Hill must have had his mom and his dad must have voted for him because I don't know who else would have voted for him in this matchup. But Let's talk about Kylan Hill a little bit, John. Give me some thoughts on him. Obviously, lost his matchup because Harris is a great talent here. But does Hill have a future in the NFL?
He has an outside shot. It depends on draft capital. I really liked him as a Debbie asset after the 2019 season. You don't just fall into accident the 1,300 yards rushing in the SEC. So I was impressed with this running game there. Then COVID happened. Mississippi State changed coaching staffs. They brought in Mike Leach. You could not be the antithesis of the offense more than Mike Leach. Also, Kylan Hill had spoken out last summer about social issues, and it didn't necessarily go over so well in the state of Mississippi, in the football program, and other areas. So it was a tough year for the young man. Then the offense changes. I think he played in 3 or 4 games, and it was in one game, I believe he had 15 targets and like 11 receptions. I almost believe he played to show scouts in the NFL that he could catch passes in the NFL out of the backfield. Because if you know Mike Leach in the air raid, the short passing game is their running game. If Kylan Hill gets into the 3rd round, then we have some real nice upside as a dynasty owner. Once he's in that 4th or 5th round, we've played dynasty football long enough.
Yep.
It's a crapshoot. And will he be given the opportunity?
Yep.
Then you're looking at, will he ever have that game? Like, hey, look at Myles Gaskin, right? Myles Gaskin he won me some games, won some money in DFS. He was an undrafted free agent out of the University of Washington. So Kylan Hill, I think, is a better prospect than Myles Gaskin. So landing spot and opportunity. I'm hoping for some draft capital, but once he falls into the 5th, 6th round, then you might as well be an undrafted free agent.
Yep.
There is hope with him. He's a good player.
All right. In the effort of time here, we're just going to give to each one of y'all each matchup so we can get through the round of 32 so we can get to some of the juicier matchups. So, Ryan, you're going to get the other matchup that was probably the biggest blowout of all the matchups here, which was kind of surprising too. But Kyle Pitts versus Jarrett Patterson, 96% for Kyle Pitts, 4% for Patterson. So let's talk about Patterson a little bit. What are your thoughts on him as a prospect?
You went to me to start with the one guy, or one of the only 2 guys on this list I have not watched yet, so I'm going to forfeit this to John.
All right, John.
And I'm ashamed it was this quickly.
Sorry, you should have given me a heads up, but all right, John.
I didn't even...
Hey, no problem. It's funny because we're actually going to break down Jared Patterson on the draft seminar this Sunday. So I've actually been watching him over the last 48 hours. I really want Jarrett Patterson to be successful. But he is very undersized. He's coming out of the MAC conference, and he had one of the easiest schedules in college football this year with opposing defenses. If you don't watch MAC football, their defenses are really bad, and I'm just going to be kind. I think there's 2 games where Jarrett Patterson had over 600 yards rushing.
Oh, my God.
Something like against Kent State and Bowling Green. Like, the 2 defenses were so bad. Now, the year before, he had over 1,700 yards. Great story, great player. I don't think he can carry the football more than 12 times a game on a regular basis. He did not show us a lot of pass catching, but when you have a dominant runner at the MAC level, why would you throw short passes to him? Just get the ball in his hands. So we don't know if he can't do it. We just don't have a lot of proof that he can. And I'm a little worried about that breakaway speed. All of a sudden, the 20 and 30-yard runs in the NFL are 8-yard runs.
Yep.
Those safeties close, the linebackers close. I like the player. Enjoyed watching him in college. I like him to be successful. I'm not trying to be redundant, but draft capital. Is he a 4th round or 6th round pick?
Yeah, and that's a key there that I wanted to point out that you keep mentioning draft capital. People talk about like measurables and the 40 time. And I think really draft capital is probably the number one tell as far as, how a guy's going to do in the NFL. Because not only, if they have all the measurables, that's great. But if they're drafted by the team that, they put the, first, second, third round pick on them, he'll get a chance. Those fourth, fifth, sixth rounders, they may not ever get a chance. They may not even make the team that first year. So, yeah, I agree 100%. If he's drafted in that, third roundish, then you definitely want to take a look at him for sure. All right, Ryan, we're going to go to you this time. You got the number 3 and 6 matchup here. We got Kenny Gainwell versus Amari Rodgers. Kenny Gainwell wins this matchup 79-21%. So, Amari Rodgers, what's your thoughts on him, Ryan?
I think Amari Rodgers has real football potential where he can be a nice slot receiver, kind of what we've seen for the Raiders recently. Like that dump-off guy who can work the middle of the field. He's never going to get a ton of yards, not a ton of touchdowns, but he has a role. He can be a flex potential if you're desperate for a nice floor. But I said I like the player. I don't see a great ceiling for him. That's why I think he kind of loses this very easily. But I think he's definitely somebody who finds a roster and finds a role in an NFL team, whether it's their third receiver or somewhere in that rotation.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
He had a very impressive pro day today.
Did he?
Yes, he ran a 4.45.
Nice.
Real.
4.44. He's 212 pounds, and they actually you can go and find footage of him running back drills. He really showed that diverse weaponry. I think he could be a second-round pick, most likely a third-round pick.
Nice. I like it. And I'm kind of glad that this kind of fell the way it did, because I was actually listening to the GOAT District podcast the other day, and it had none other than John Laub on it. And he had this next running back who lost this matchup, but he had him a lot higher than I had ever seen anybody have him at. So this is Chuba Hubbard, who won the matchup 52-48, and the guy I'm talking about is Jamar Jefferson, who John likes a lot. So, John, give us your thoughts on Jefferson.
I am all in. I mean, he is my number 4 running back. When I popped him into my model, size, team dominator score, the percentage of yards from scrimmage of his offense, his one-cut ability, I love the film work, sneaky vision in between the tackles. He can pop it at the second level. You're not used to watching Oregon State staying up late. They've been a bad program over the last couple of years. This young man had over 1,300 yards rushing as a true freshman. 18, 19 years old, he dominated the Pac-12. Then he got hurt sophomore year. This year, remember, there was COVID. The Pac-12, I think they might have been the last kick or the last conference in the nation to kick off. So they started really late. If you want to watch a good piece of tape, watch him in the Civil War against Oregon Ducks. He had over 200 yards rushing. His best game in his 3 years for the Beavers. I am all in. I believe he's a second-round pick. I actually had to take my pants down when I heard that Kyle Shanahan interviewed him on Zoom, because Kyle Shanahan has a runner that he likes. We know it's a one-cut runner. And one of the things the 49ers have missed in the last couple of years is a bigger back. They've had these really nice one-cut speed backs, but they've been a little undersized, and they can't remain on the field. Oh, would I be excited if he ended up in San Francisco. But I have him at number 4, Jamar Jefferson. There's not a lot of big backs in this NFL draft class. If you start looking at size, we got a lot of under 200-pound runners. Jamar Jefferson's 217. Watch some film, people. He can be special in the right system.
All right, I like that. And good call with the 49ers, too, because you're right. I mean, I'm a fan of the team, and we've had those fast speed guys. I think at one point, with Matt Breida to be in there as well, we had one of the fastest backfields in the NFL. And when we get down in close, those guys can't punch it in. We struggled in the red zone the last couple of years. They couldn't punch it in. A guy like that could be our red zone guy, punch it in. So I like that a lot. Good call. All right, let's move down into the South Division here. And Ryan, this next matchup is for you. The number 1 seed in this division was Travis Etienne. He won this matchup, of course, 93-7. Khalil Herbert was the 8th seed here. So give us your thoughts on this guy.
Herbert's a good back, but I don't see anything really dynamic or special there that's going to separate him. I think he's a good one-cup runner. He could be a number 2 for a team, in a zone run offense, similar to what you said with that San Francisco style. Again, I'm not putting him there because everyone goes there and it's always off. Everyone looks good there, and I like the Jamar and there a lot more. But I feel like every podcast, 5 people go to the 49ers. But that's the system he fits. I think he's a good number 2 back for a team who'll help out if he gets the chance to get all the carries in a game or two. He could perform, but I think he's a solid backup, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be a good piece for an NFL team, but I don't know necessarily for a fancy team or not. Any thoughts on Herbert, real quick, John?
I do like Herbert. I think he's a dual back in a system. You know how the 49ers have been using basically whoever's healthy out of their 3 backs? Yeah. I think Herbert's that type of player. Maybe look at the Ravens. I know Ryan's a Ravens fan. They have a state. But, I don't think he could ever be the guy. I think he's a rotational guy. He can do a little bit of everything. My dad used to joke about, jack of all trades, master of none. I kind of think that's what Herbert is. Good football player, but he doesn't have where does he win? Where does he dominate?
Right.
I don't think he has that, really.
Good call. All right, the 2-7 matchup in this one was Javonte Williams and Brevin Jordan. Javonte won this matchup 86% to 14%. Give us your thoughts on Brevin Jordan. I know he's like the tight end 2 or 3-ish, I think, right?
Absolutely. And if I was, Brevin Jordan's family, I'd be suing you for putting me in this bracket as a number 7 right here. You put me up against the North Carolina running back. That just ain't fair. Because, look, I like Brevin Jordan a lot. He's my number 3 tight end. He might have as much upside as Kyle Pitts. He's not the athlete as Kyle Pitts. Depending on landing spot, Kyle Pitts goes to a disaster offense. Brevin Jordan goes to a lightning passing game who employs the tight end. The concern with Jordan is injuries. He can't stay on the field consistently. He's missed sometimes. But to me, there's no denying the athletic ability. 6'3", 245 pounds. He's a better blocker than given credit for. He can attack the seam of the defense and the safeties. He's not as dynamic and Kyle Pitts is special when you watch him. He doesn't have that. Him and Pat Freiermuth have been my 2. That was a real struggle watching film of both of these players. Landing spot will matter. Jordan might have more fantasy ceiling, a higher ceiling, because if he stays healthy and on the field, he could be a 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL. Will he be able to stay on the field is a major concern. The upside is huge. And I've already made a decision in my dynasty leagues in which I need a tight end. I am waiting till the 3rd round. Whichever one falls, Freiermuth or Jordan, that's who I'm going to grab. It's that close.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, I know Jay from a podcast with Upside, who was on just before us, he's a big supporter of Brevin Jordan as well. That's why I knew a little bit about him, because Jay can't stop talking about him. I think he's got him as his tight end too, actually.
Oh, yeah. So I kind of, what my tiebreaker was? Freiermuth is your more classic NFL because he's a little meaner and nasty at the line of scrimmage. So that's why I think the NFL will like Freiermuth more.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, let's move on to the 3-6 matchup here, Ryan. You got Terrace Marshall, and it is Terrace without no N. Everybody keeps putting Terrence Marshall, and that's not how it's spelled. I learned that the hard way. Terrace Marshall won this matchup against, and I can't pronounce his first name. Is it Tamarion Terry? Tamorian Terry. And Marshall won this one 70-30. So, Ryan, give us your thoughts on Terry.
I I like Terry. I think could be one of the sleepers in the fantasy drafts. He's super explosive. He's 6'4". I'm curious to see what he's done up running, but he makes plays down the field. He can win over the top. He uses his body well in the red zone. He has a little bit of a case of the dropsies and some mental errors, but we've seen this, I feel like, year after year now at Florida State. Their star players have just been overshadowed being surrounded by terrible play, and I think it's hurting him in multiple ways. But the natural skill set's there and the tools are there to be a really good receiver. He's one of the guys I'm going to be grabbing in the 3rd round in every single draft I'm in. I love the skill set. I can't go away from somebody with that size-speed combination. I like him. I like the upside.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, that's one of those dart throws that you kind of take the hope that he can be a lot better in the NFL than he was in college, so I like it. All right, the 4-5 matchup in the South Division. It was probably one of the closer ones in the first round here. Elijah Moore won this matchup against Kadarius Toney, 63% to 37%. So give us your thoughts on Kadarius Toney, John.
First, Jeff, your followers got this one right. Elijah Moore is better than Kadarius Toney. Not trying to be a hot take. And I will not be surprised if Kadarius Toney gets drafted before Elijah Moore. From what I see, the NFL scouts and the national media prefer Kadarius Toney. If you're on Twitter and you study the tape and you look at the career arc, the level of competition, the breakout age, in my model and my film study, I like Elijah Moore better. So, your viewers got this one right, in my opinion. But I do think Kadarius Toney is going to be drafted before Elijah Moore. Me, I'm taking the discount on Elijah Moore any day of the week. But Kadarius Toney, in the beginning of the year, I was scouting Florida for Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask. That's why I turned on the television. That's why they were much-watched TV for myself. I wanted to see Trask, if he improved, where he went. In the first 6 or 7 games of the year, Kyle Trask played amazing. And obviously, we know how good Pitts was. But as I'm watching the Gators, Kadarius Toney just started to pop more and more. And I'm like, who is this young man? Because before this year, Kadarius Toney was just a guy on the depth chart. And then this year, he led Florida in catches with 70, receiving yards at 984, and all-purpose yards 1,439. I understand breakout age. Last year we had Brandon Ayuk, and some people didn't like Ayuk because he was a late breakout age, JUCO transfer, didn't really do anything till his senior year at Arizona State. And you saw how good Ayuk was this year, right, Jeff, as a 49ers fan?
Yep.
Kadarius Toney is a similar. He was not on Debbie radars. We weren't drafting him in college fantasy football. I mean, he really came from, you would look at the Florida depth chart, Trevin Grimes, Kyle Pitts, this guy, they have Kadarius Toney. 6'0", 190. He blew people away at the Senior Bowl. I do think he's going to go in the first round.
Oh, wow.
Some people have him as early as the top 10.
Wow.
I think that's so nuts. But I think at the end, if we came here in the second week of May, he's going to have first-round draft capital.
Wow.
And then we're going now. I do like Elijah Moore by far better. But what if Toney ends up in Kansas City?
Yeah, good call.
Right? I mean, someone's going to look 6'0", 190. They're going to see the terrific season. They've watched the Senior Bowl week. They've saw the drills. The young man has incredible traits and NFL skills. But he is a late breakout player. I don't think I draft him in the first round, but Ayuk went in the first round. So I think the NFL and a lot of NFL scouts like Kadarius Toney.
Nice. That's a lot there for Toney. A first round pick. That'd be crazy. That'd be that draft capital we're looking for in fantasy football. If he does go in the first round, he'll skyrocket up boards for sure. All right, that wraps up the South Division. Let's move to the West Division. In the 1-8 matchup in the West Division is Jamar Chase versus Dwayne Eskridge. Ryan, you got this matchup here. Chase won this matchup, of course, 95% to 5%. So give me your thoughts about Mr. Eskridge there, Ryan.
Is that our second biggest blowout?
Yes, it is. I think the second. I think Pitts had the first biggest, and then this one.
I just want to know who was drinking and voted for Dwayne Eskridge over Jamar. Like, I'm being serious, and I like Dwayne Eskridge, but please.
Yeah, exactly.
You were scrolling through Twitter and accidentally tapped the button or something like
yeah.
The only thing that makes sense, so you're just a troll. Like just doesn't make. It's not there. Like, Eskridge is cool, man. Like, he's explosive. He's fun to watch. He averaged 20 yards of reception this year. Like, he's a big play machine. He's so fun. He's good in open space. He makes guys miss. And he's going to be a solid slot weapon. I don't know where the fantasy production is if you're ever going to want to start a guy like that who's not going to be a volume receiver, who's going to be big play dependent. He's going to win you some DFS days in the NFL if he gets on the field. But I really think that's it fantasy-wise for him. Let's say he's 5'9", he's small, and he's going to be just used as a field stretcher.
Yeah, he'll be one of those gadget players that you see every once in a while, and everybody, look at the game he had. It's like 2 catches for 100 yards or something crazy, but he didn't really do anything other than one big play. All right, let's go to the 2-7 matchup here, John. We got Rashad Bateman, and I think this came out right as I think his 40 time was released too. So this, he was very popular on Twitter when this poll was going on. But he won this poll 89-11. He was up against the number 7 seed Trey Sermon. So give us your thoughts on Trey Sermon. I've heard so many things about him. I've heard some guys ranking him pretty high. I've heard some guys saying that he won't even be in the NFL in a couple years. So what are your thoughts on Sermon?
One of my favorite things to do now that I'm done with my rankings and analysis, I love to get nerdy and do internet searches for rankings. And Trey Sermon is one of those prospects. There are wildly different varying degrees on him. I have seen him as high as 3, maybe once or twice, often in the top 5, and then some people have him at 11, 12. Crazy differences. He went to Oklahoma. He played 3 seasons there. He ended up with over 2,000 yards. Never really hit his ceiling. I believe his best year was his freshman year with the Sooners. They had a lot of competition in the backfield. We also know they had Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. So you're not getting a lot of rushing touchdowns in that, Lincoln Riley offense. Transfers to Ohio State. COVID hits. They open up the season late. I think they opened late October. So I believe he only had 6 regular season games. 2 games, if you really want to see him. His game against Northwestern, 331 yards and 2 touchdowns. Simply spectacular game. Then, again, against Clemson, he played with anger and purpose and punished the Tigers. Just another fantastic game. I was so excited to see him against Alabama, and I think he got hurt on a second carry of the game, right? He did. I think that did change the game a little bit. I think Alabama would have won anyways, but I think it changed the outcome for the Ohio State offense. 6'1", 215 pounds, physical. He does have sweet feet for a big man. He's the type of player all you need is one franchise to love the film.
Yeah.
Just one. He could be a second-round draft pick. If he's a second-round draft pick, let's say he goes to Pittsburgh. We know Pittsburgh needs a running back. They take a big boy like that. You like him with Mike Tomlin any day of the week. Ryan's like, no. I don't want to play that boy.
He's such a Steelers pick.
Yeah.
I've not thought of that. I'm in chats with a bunch of Steelers fans, and I've not heard his name come. But as soon as you said that, I'm like, yep. It makes so much sense.
Yeah, if I believe that there's a good chance that he's a second round, I have a 3rd round grade on him. But all it takes is one team. Grade, he could be a very hot asset after the NFL draft.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I think if he does, go to someone like the Steelers, I think he jumps up our dynasty boards for sure. Because, I mean, that'd be a perfect fit for him if they do end up investing in him like that. So, and he is one of those players, like you mentioned. I've seen so many different rankings on this guy. I can't really pin it down where he's going to be going in dynasty drafts right now. Ryan, you got the 3-6 matchup in the West Division, and we got Michael Carter and Nico Collins. Michael Carter wins this matchup 75-25. So give me your thoughts on Nico Collins.
I mean, Nico Collins, he's definitely a guy who's going to have a role in the NFL. He's got the big body that you look for a red zone target. He's 6'4", 215. He boxes out well in the red zone. He's shown some vertical play. He's not a super burner, but he can get open down the field, make plays over the top. And I think he works good as a complementary role in offense. He may not ever be a star, but we could see like flashes like we saw from a Tim Patrick this year. If he gets in the lineup, he can produce because you can't really teach 6'4", and he can use his body well for that. I like him as an upside play, but I'm not jumping out of my seat to get him.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. I think I actually may have done a write up on him. I think I had him comped to and I can't think. I just lost his name now. I was trying to think of it while you were talking. But the guy that just passed away just recently, the wide receiver that just passed away. He was found in a hotel. What's his name? He played for the Chargers and the Bucks. 6'5". I can't think of.
Vincent Jackson.
Vincent Jackson.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Vincent Jackson.
He was a really good fantasy player for a while.
Yeah, Vincent Jackson. That's his name.
That's it, Vincent Jackson. Yep. Sorry.
That was my comp to Nico Collins there. I don't know if that's a good comp or not. I'm not as good at this as y'all are, but when I watched the tape, that's kind of what I saw of him. All right, let's move into the 4-5 matchup here. 64% to 36%. Tylan Wallace wins this matchup against Emmy Brown. So give us your thoughts on Emmy Brown, John.
I actually think this time your followers got it backwards.
Uh-oh.
I have Emmy Brown 1 pick ahead of Tylan Wallace. Very close. Emmy Brown has had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for the North Carolina Tar Heels. I believe, and I don't have the measurements in front of me at this, I think he's 6 feet, 195 pounds. He averaged over the last 2 seasons over 20 yards per catch. What I like about him, he played on the X. It is very hard to find true X receivers in the NFL. I think you can find slot receivers. You can find Z receivers. To find a true X who can be on the boundary, head up against press coverage, normally against the opposition's best cornerback, is tough to find. Emmy Brown played that for North Carolina. That's impressive. Now, I tend to think he'll make his money at the Z or maybe, in inside. But I do think he has the experience and the upside of playing X. He's dynamic deep down the field. He has a little bit of swagger. I like his game. I don't understand why he's not getting as much discussion in the Dynasty community. I think he's a great value. The reason my other final decision making on this, Tylan Wallace has had a series of injuries. And I was reading fantasy. I don't know if he's a doctor. I think he's a doctor who does fantasy, but he's done some research. But I don't want to say for sure. But his research conclusion was, if you have injuries in college, historically, they follow you to the NFL. Doesn't mean everyone. And there's always exceptions to the rule. We understand that. Emmy Brown broke out early, and he's been healthy. Tylan Wallace has not. That, to me, was the tiebreaker. Now, I look at Emmy Brown could get hurt week 1. NFL, we're done. Yeah. And Tylan Wallace is great for 4 years. We don't know. But if I'm going to, when it's that close and I like both players, I'm going to go with the relatively more healthy one over 3 seasons. I like the Emmy Brown a lot.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, we're splitting hairs here at this point when you went to 4 or 5 there. So I agree. I think when it comes down to injuries, that's a good way to split it in half there because you never know what they're going to be in the NFL. They could be injury prone. All right, that wraps up the West Division. Let's move into the North Division. And the 1-8 matchup in this one was Devonta Smith versus, I can't say is it Demetric? Is that how you say his first name? Demetric Felton?
I always go, Demetric Felton.
All right, Demetric Felton at the 8 seed. Devonta Smith, of course, wins this matchup 91% to 9%. Brian, give us your thoughts on Demetric Felton.
I feel like Demetric Felton is a trap player for me in fantasy. Every year, I fall in love with a versatile running back who works out of the slots, good receiving threat. He kind of splits that 50-50. And every year it's like, oh, he'd be so good with the Pats or a QB who checks down. And we're always kind of less disappointed. And I feel like he's going to do that. He's so explosive. He's fun to watch. He's great as a receiver. They can move him around. He's a good weapon for a team. But I feel like I just feel like I'm going to be widely disappointed for falling for him, and I don't want to be because I love that skill set when a guy can do everything. But I think we're going to go back to the draft capital here that John's been talking about all night. Where he goes makes a big difference because you're at 185 pounds at 5'9". It's hard.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it's really hard whether you're a good receiver, versatile or not. This is the NFL. Like, it's going to be real tough for him.
Is he the 2021 version of Darrington Evans? Because Darrington Evans was kind of that guy last year. Everybody fell in love with.
That's who I was thinking of and forgot his name. Yeah. Like, that's exactly who I thought of when I said I've set myself up for disappointment.
Yeah, and you know how much I love Darrington Evans, and he definitely didn't do anything that I expected him to do. I drafted him in a lot of my leagues, so I will
Every league I was in with you.
Yeah, pretty much. I missed on that one. All right, it was the 1-8. Let's go to the 2-7. The 2-7 is Jalen Waddle at 88%, winning this matchup against Javian Hawkins at 12%. John, give us your thoughts on Hawkins. He's another guy I've seen that's kind of polarizing. I've seen him, ranked pretty low. And I've seen some guys that really love him.
He is polarizing, Jeff. My draft seminar partner, Matt, loves Javian Hawkins. I'm not as enthralled with him, but I'll say this. I am biased to the big boys. I prefer my running backs over 210. And I get it. There's lots of good running backs around 200. So I'm not... But Javian Hawkins is 5'9", 182. Absolutely love the film work. And there's some very impressive stats on Javian Hawkins, like missed tackles, breakaway runs. But this isn't a Louisville offense that gave him a lot of wide lanes, made him look dynamic. He has slippery feet. He's a lightning bug. He can hit a home run at any time. Let me go back. 182 pounds. I have a very hard time investing a lot of dynasty capital in an 182-pound running back with only 21 career receptions.
Oof.
Once again, the Louisville Cardinals offense, the way it is constructed, they don't throw to the running backs. It's just not their style. However, we don't see on the resume and a high-level ability like a Travis Etienne, like a Najee Harris to make those receptions. In the 4th round, I'm interested. 3rd round of a dynasty, I'll let someone else invest in the 182-pound back.
Yeah, good call.
Unless he goes in the 2nd round. Hey, I don't think he's a 2nd-round pick in the NFL, though. I don't.
Yeah, and that's funny because that's what I've heard. The argument is, he'll be a great pass catcher, but you're saying he only has 21 career receptions. So what's telling you? Just because he's small, they all can catch, right? All of them can catch if they're small.
I think the narrative is, he must be a 3-down pass catcher.
Yep.
But we don't know.
Yep.
What's real funny about small running backs? They said they should always catch. People always talk hand size. And normally, if you're a shorter dude, you don't have huge
smaller hands. Exactly. Yep.
Which is counterintuitive. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
You're
exactly.
Right. You're right.
All right, the 3-6 matchup in this one is Rondell Moore and Seth Williams. Rondell Moore, of course, is the 3 seed. He won this matchup 80-20. So, Ryan, give us your thoughts on Seth Williams.
I like Seth Williams. I think he's another guy who has good NFL potential. He looks like he'd be an X receiver. He's 6'2", 220. So he's built. He's physical. He dominates in 50-50 balls. You can run him slants. He can win over the top. He'll be a good red zone threat for a team. If he develops, he could be a fairly good player. I think fantasy-wise, he could end up being a flex type to a wide receiver 3 in the right system. But the skill set's there where he could shine in the NFL. I just want to see him put that together at the next level for him.
I like it. All right, to wrap up the field of 32, we've got the 4-5 matchup here. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the 4 seed. He won this matchup 69-31 against the 5 seed Pat Freiermuth. I think that's how you say it, John. If I'm wrong, correct me, but talk about him a little bit.
You are correct, my good friend. Pat Freiermuth, 6'5", 258. Nicknamed the baby Gronk. Ladies and gentlemen, that's too high of expectations. I've been watching football for over 42 years. There's only been one Rob Gronkowski. And I've always felt the difference, and he doesn't get talked about enough. His ability to block. Rob Gronkowski's been an incredible blocker. He basically was a blocker this year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
And he's never been given credit for his ability to block. And we know how good of a pass catcher he is. Freiermuth has the body, and I understand why people make that comment, but I don't think he's as good of a prospect as Gronk. Gronk was a special player and a special NFL prospect. Tough competitor, mean. This is the type of personality you want in your locker room. I think if the Ravens didn't have Mark Andrews, he's the type of player that the Ravens would want on the roster. Steelers may want, which I'm going to think about too, because I like my tight ends to be a little bit nasty. I want them to get nasty in the run game. I want them to be cocky with a big touchdown pass. Freiermuth has that alpha mentality. He is a very, very good athlete. He can get open, and when he's running, he's got big, long strides. Now, he's not a sprinter, but if he gets behind your secondary, he can take it all the way. I like Freiermuth a lot. This is a tough matchup, 4-5 matchup for him. But as I mentioned before, Freiermuth is my number 2. If he falls to the 3rd round in a Dynasty draft, I love the value.
Yeah.
I'm not going to overpay for him or Brevin Jordan. But I do think there's a cliff. It is a mile wide after the top 3 tight ends.
Yeah, yep, I agree. All right, so that wraps up the round of 32. We'll take a commercial break here, so let me just quickly plug our sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by ThriveFantasy.com. It is DFS for prop bets. Visit ThriveFantasy.com or download the app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code Armchair and receive an instant match up to $50. Choose your favorite prop bets to build your lineup and compete against the rest of the field for cash prizes. Again, sign up today at ThriveFantasy.com. Get the app for iOS or Android and use promo code Armchair and get your instant match. And for more on that,
experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
All right, and we are back. I am here with John Lobb and Ryan Sirfoss, and we are at the Sweet 16 of our Dynasty Prospect Bracket Challenge. And we're going back to the East Division here with the number 1 seed being Najee Harris, and this matchup being the number 4 seed Chuba Hubbard. Of course, Harris wins this matchup handily, 85% to 15%. Ryan, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Give me your thoughts on Chuba Hubbard. I know last year we thought he'd come out last year, and we liked him, and then he kind of had a down season. But give me your thoughts on him coming out this year.
Chuba's one of the most explosive athletes at the running back position this year. He has a nice size-speed combination to go with it. But he's so explosive. He's just not extremely creative in the open field and kind of leaves a little bit to be looked for there. I want to see him land. I think his landing spot's very important for his fantasy potential. He's a guy who can move up or down. If he lands somewhere in Arizona where that offense is spread and he has huge running lanes to go through and can let that speed burn, you could see those performances like we saw out of like Kenyon Drake a few years back when he was really taking league to explore, except Hubbard probably faster and more explosive. Like, he has that in him. It's just the landing spot has to be there for him to really do that. I don't want to see him chugging along in the I formation.
Yeah.
I want to see him in a spread offense where has big running lanes.
And he's probably the secondary back in a committee, right? Is that what you're saying?
I think he could be a 15 to 18 carry guy in the right offense.
Okay. All right.
But again, the right offense. And with his speed, you don't need 25 carries.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, the other matchup in that division was the number 3 Kenny Gainwell versus the number 2 seed Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts takes this one 82% to 18%. John, a lot of people have Gainwell like around their 4 or 5 running back. Where do you have Gainwell ranked at?
I have him as my number 6. Once again, you are going to notice a trend in this draft. 5'11", 191 is what he's listed at. I've heard and read that he might be less than 185.
Oof.
He unfortunately,
Really?
There's a very tough story family-wise why he took the year off. I'm not going to get into it. You can read if you want to do your research. Why Kenny Gainwell? It's very sad. But he took the year off. He opted out and is going to the NFL. What is he going to show up at his pro day? What is his weight? He's had a year to get ready for this one pro day. Is he going to be 190 and less? Or is he going to pull the Travis Etienne today who showed up at 215, which we were all a little bit shocked on? Where is the weight on Kenneth Gainwell? I want to like him. I do like him. I have concerns about him between the tackles. He is an absolute dynamic pass catcher. 57 career receptions, and I believe like 51 of them were in that spectacular 2019 season.
Wow.
In 2019, his scrimmage yards dominator was 30% of the Memphis Tigers. And that was with Antonio Gibson. So there is something that's very intriguing here. He kept Antonio Gibson at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And we just saw what Antonio Gibson did in the NFL. So why did the coaching staff like him so much more as a running back than Gibson? So you've got to be intrigued with that. And he had over 2,069 yards from scrimmage. He was a redshirt freshman. And he earned my little kitty cat. He earned AAC Rookie of the Year and first team All AAC. Just a tremendous year. But he's coming back from a year off. And what is his actual weight? I do believe he has a role in the NFL. What is he exactly? Is he just Giovanni Bernard? Is that the ceiling? Or can he get up to 200 pounds and have a more full-time role or maybe get 65% of the snaps? Not sure yet. Need to see the pro day and the weight. I want to like him more, but he's my number 6 back because Andy didn't play for a whole year.
Yeah.
We have to consider that and I'm glad he didn't play. He had family concerns that which much more important than doing football. However, we still haven't seen him on the field. So where is he athletically?
Nice. I like it. Gerson in the chat wanted me to ask you, John. He wants to know how many 5-hour energies you take a day because you got so much energy.
I actually, I live off of a gallon of coffee. So instead of 5-hour energy, it's just a gallon of coffee. My heart might explode at any moment, but I do have a gallon of coffee.
Good stuff. I like it. All right, let's move into the South Division, and the 1-4 matchup here is Travis Etienne versus number 4 Elijah Moore. Etienne wins this matchup 84% to 16%. If you're looking for upsets in this bracket, guys, unfortunately there was no upsets at all. It was pretty much chalk the whole time. Yeah, we've done this now 3 years in a row, and we've always had at least one upset, but we did not have any in this bracket, so it's all chalk. But Travis Etienne beats Elijah Moore. Ryan, give me your thoughts on Elijah Moore.
I wish we'd have seen the voting of Elijah Moore versus Rondale Moore, because I feel like that's a conversation everybody's now having.
Elijah Moore's better. Sorry.
And I was just about to say, I agree. I think Elijah Moore is the top slot receiver in this year's draft. I like him there. He's so explosive. He separates. He has good hands. When he has the ball in his hands, he makes big plays. You can target this guy 110 times, 120 times out of the slot in the NFL, and he can make an impact. I really like his skill set. He played big boy ball in the SEC. What's there not to like? And he's not. I feel like he's not as slender and tiny as Rondale. I like Elijah Moore's skill set a lot. I think he's a really good player, and I think he will be a fantasy impact. And I think you can get him late first, early second round, and Dynasty startups, and it's a nice value.
Yeah, I like it.
Ryan and Jeff, I did research because I told you I like to nerd out.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore, and I looked at 12 rankings. Highest ranking was 5. Now that's not mine. I don't count mine. These are 12 others. Highest, I have him at number 5 myself, but the other highest ranked is 5. There were people. His low was 17.
Holy crap!
And I saw 4 people outside of the top 14.
Oof.
Mind blowing.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think I have him as like Ryan has him. I think I have him as a late first round pick. I'm not sure where he ranks as far as receivers go on my rankings, but I know I have him around that late first round pick. So
you don't have him at 17.
No, definitely not. Definitely not that low. All right, let's move to the 3-2 matchup in the South Division. We got the number 3 seed Terrace Marshall against the number 2 seed Javonte Williams. Williams takes this matchup 79-21. So give us your thoughts on Terrace Marshall, John.
If we had done this show 2 months ago, I was not as bullish on Terrace Marshall. But my teammate Matt on the draft seminar, he has sold me on Terrace Marshall. He's been much more bullish than I am. And I moved Marshall all the way up to number 8 in my rankings. I had him about 12 if we were talking almost 2 months ago. But Matt identified a lot of traits in this young man that I'm very impressed with. 6'3", over 200 pounds. A classic X receiver. All of the skills. He can play on the boundary. He can beat press coverage. If he gets off of press coverage, he has the speed and the long strides to go over the top. He can challenge the safety. Very sticky hands. Not as good as Elijah Moore, but good. The thing that sold me as I'm watching the film, I had to think about context. He played at LSU with Justin Jefferson, who just had the greatest rookie season since Randy Moss, and Jamar Jefferson, who is pretty much the consensus top wide receiver in this draft.
Jamar Chase.
I would say 80%.
Jamar Chase. You said Jamar Jefferson.
Jamar Chase, sorry. Yeah, Jamar Chase is consensus. He's probably 80% out there have him at number 1. He was in a very challenging locker room. And this is my favorite stat that I've come across this in this research cycle. In the last 2 years, 94 receptions, 23 touchdowns. He has a 24% touchdown rate.
That's crazy.
I went back to high school. Like, is this an anomaly? Now, he missed his senior year of high school. He got hurt. His junior year of high school, he had 15 touchdowns. Now, I know it's narrative street, and statisticians are going to tell you he can't do it. I get it. But there are just some players. Chris Carter made a Hall of Fame career out of it. Marcus Allen. There are players who just intuitively understand the red zone, how to create space, how to find holes, how to use their body. Terrace Marshall's very good, very underrated. My teammate is still more bullish than me, but I do like Terrace Marshall more and more throughout this draft process.
Good stuff.
Yeah, Matt loves him.
Yeah.
Matt loves him.
I've had many conversations with Matt about Terrace Marshall.
Good
Being
stuff.
both fan of the same NFL team, and we won that pick. So, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, let's move to the West Division and the 1-4 matchup. And this one is Jamar Chase at 94% winning this matchup against Tylan Wallace at 6%. So, Ryan, let's go to you and talk about Wallace a little bit for us.
I was real excited about Tylan Wallace until John just poo-pooed on him earlier. It just took all the wind out of my sails there. I really like Tylan Wallace. I think I'm not a doctor, so I can't call. I haven't dug into the injuries, and nor do I know enough about it to really do it. But from just what I've seen on the field, I think he's a versatile guy. Like, he works inside routes, he works outside, he can beat guys in jump ball situations. He's a deep threat. He has strong hands. I like that he attacks the ball. He goes back for it hard. He wins those matchups. I like a lot of what he does. He can run after the catch. He kind of powers through guys. I like a lot of his game, but now you got me scared about the health there. So
knock him back a few notches.
I'm going to own a lot of time. He's probably one of my most owned guys in Dynasty this year, in all reality. But John just kind of rained on my parade a lot when I thought, and it hurt because you're one of the people I respect the most, and he's one of my favorite receivers. I'm like, oh god.
All right, good stuff.
You know what? I'll say, Ryan, there's a wide range of outcomes.
There is.
Jalen Wallace could be very good. I see that. But he could also be injured and out of the league in 3 years.
Yeah.
So I think there's a very wide range there.
The skill set's there. He brings a lot. He brings a lot to the table. He can work inside. He can line up anywhere. I love that receiver, and I love what he does. But I'm a little scared of the injuries, and that's probably what my morning's going to be tomorrow, is looking them up.
All right. Let's move to the 3-2 matchup here, because as always, we're running a little bit long. I know this is a longer show typically because we got 32 guys to get through. But we're going to the 3-2 matchup in the West Division. The number 2 seed was Rashad Bateman, who wins this matchup 78% against number 3 seed Michael Carter at 22%. So, John, give us your thoughts on Michael Carter.
I like Michael Carter. I have him at number 5. I have him above Kenneth Gainwell, who we spoke a little earlier about, 5'8", 199. But I don't consider him small. If you watch Michael Carter play football, he is tough. He hits people. He's got great contact balance. I don't consider him short, even though he is 5'8", but he plays bigger than that. And I do like the compact frame and body style. He hits people. The dynamism is in the passing game. 82 career receptions. None of this Javian Hawkins where we have to project and hope. We know on film Michael Carter's a dynamic pass catcher. Watch the tape. 28 career touchdowns. 6.6 yards per carry. And in a backfield last year with Javonte Williams, Michael Carter had a scrimmage yards dominator of 25%. That's incredibly impressive. I like Michael Carter a lot. My number 5 running back, my friends.
All right. Moving into the North Division, the 1-4 matchup here is Devonta Smith, who won this matchup at 87% to 13 against the number 4 seed, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has probably the best name in this whole class, I think. I just love that name. But Ryan, give us your thoughts on Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'm a big fan of him. He's somebody who's just kind of grown on me and moved up my rankings slowly every time I watch him. He's so chippy at the position. Like, he plays a little bit of attitude. He's had one of the weirdest stat lines of any game I've ever seen, where he had 4 touchdowns on was it 4 touchdowns on 4 catches?
Yeah, that was an incredible game.
In the first quarter?
In the first quarter, wow.
It was absurd. But I really like how he plays. I think he's a solid wide receiver 2 on a team. I think he works really well in a complementary role. Like how we've seen maybe Marvin Jones over the years, where he's won in the red zone, scored touchdowns, just done a little bit of everything. He's physical, he's tough, has good hands. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. He may never be a superstar, but I think he's going to be a really good fantasy player who you can just count on.
Good.
You know, he doesn't, I'll tell you this, he doesn't remind me of this player stylistically, but I could see him having a similar career. Tyler Boyd.
Oh, yeah.
Not stylistically, but career arc.
Career arc-wise, I like it.
And that's fantastic for fantasy.
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
You don't talk about him like he's a great player, but he's a really good fantasy asset to have. Like, he's not somebody you trade away and you put him in your lineup and you just forget about him.
Yep.
Not exciting, not sexy, but you'll take it.
Yep, exactly.
I agree.
All right, the next matchup is the 3-2 matchup, and it was the only really, really close matchup I think we had in this entire tournament. Number 3, Rondale Moore, and number 2, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle wins this matchup by a mere 51% to 49%. It was right down to the wire. I kept retweeting it to see if we can get some more votes on it. So talk about Rondale Moore, who lost this matchup in a very close matchup with Waddle.
As I go through this process, I seem to be the one who ends up talking negatively about Rondale Moore. I know there are people out there who absolutely love him. And I've seen someone who I respect a ton who thinks he's the number 1 wide receiver, not even close. I can't put him that's bullish. I mean, that's really, really bullish. First off, to be the number 1 receiver in my book, and this is how I grade, you have to have Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones upside. And it's very hard for me to see a 5'9", 180-pound slot receiver who's going to have 1,600 yards and 180 receptions. Or 128, whatever. You know what I mean. Is it possible? I guess it's possible. But other than his size, there are 2 very concerning red flags to me in his profile. The first one, yards per reception, 10.8. 10.8. When I put that in my model, he falls really low, people, real low. And then someone on Twitter had posted those scatter shot graphs of home runs. It was a scatter shot graph of Rondale Moore's receptions, where they occurred in regard to the line of scrimmage. 90% of his passes were within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yikes.
And a bunch of them are within 5 yards or behind, or they're not runs. You know how you put them in motion and you throw the ball inch and it counts as a pass. Those 2 things are such red flags to me because he gained a lot of yak yards and he's not going to get those 40 yards on a jet sweep in the NFL very often. He also hasn't really played in 2 seasons. His big year was 2018.
Oof.
I have him at number 6. I think he's a second-round pick in the NFL. You've got to know what you're drafting. A slot receiver with really nice upside. He is not Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, or Justin Jefferson. He's not in that class. And if he's not in that class, I can't put him at number 1.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. All right, we are moving into the Elite 8 now, and we are going to go back to the East Division, the Elite 8. The number 1 seed in that division was Najee Harris. The number 2 seed was Kyle Pitts. I thought this would be a lot closer than it actually was because everybody seems to love Kyle Pitts on Twitter. But Najee Harris wins this matchup 69-31. So, Ryan, you have Kyle Pitts. Talk about him a little bit.
Real quick, I want to say, John, you made me feel much better about how I feel about Rondell Moore. Thank you.
So can I just ask, you're not that huge on Moore either, right?
No, he's probably 6 or lower for me.
Okay,
I don't have my rankings right in front of me, but like I'm not there. I don't get it. But I mean, what to say about Kyle Pitts? He's a superstar, man. Like he's a big play at tight end position. He's a matchup nightmare. I've seen a lot of people now starting to view him as just another receiver, which I'm not for. He's a tight end. And yes, he's going to be split out a lot, but dude, I don't know what you guard him with. Like, he's too big for corners and safeties, too fast for safeties and linebackers. Like, he's a nightmare. He might be somebody we see at tight end position have an impact earlier rather than later. It may not be year 1, so just be patient because of the position, but he has all the potential to be a really good fantasy player. I have him in my top 10 Dynasty tight ends already. Like, I think the kid's a star. Yeah. I don't know what else you can say about him. Like, he's tight end 1.
Yeah, I've seen him go as high as 105, which I haven't been playing Dynasty. I think I've been playing 6 years now. I don't think I've ever remember a tight end going anywhere in that range at 105, 106. I mean, even some of the best ones we've had haven't gone that high.
Because we have a lot of question marks outside of the top, like 3 or 4 picks in the draft. And when you're deciding between Rondell Moore and Devonta Smith or Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, you have all these questions. You're like, oh, Kyle Pitts seems safe. He's the number 1 in his position and scarce position.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I don't know if I agree with it, but the thinking of it makes sense.
Yeah, I think if I went 105 with a tight end, I got to have a pretty good team right there. And I don't know if I'm at the 105, I probably don't have a good team. So I don't know if I can extend it on a ton of tight ends. So that would be tough for me to pull that card. All right, let's move into the South Division. And the 1-2 matchup in the South Division was Travis Etienne versus the number 2 seed, Javonte Williams. Again, thought this would be a little bit closer than it was. Etienne wins this matchup 68-32. So, John, you already had Michael Carter you talked about a little bit. Talk about his teammate here, Javonte Williams.
First, I'm going to respectfully disagree with your followers on this one. They got it wrong. Flat out wrong. Javonte Williams is my number 2 back. I don't understand how you can't like him. If you like Nick Chubb and you love running between the tackles, I don't know if you're watching film. Because there is some glorious patience, tight windows, running through traffic, contact balance, patience, physicality, 5'10", 220 pounds. I just fell in love with him this year. The more I watched him, the higher up the rankings he went. And if you had told me 8 months ago that Javonte Williams is going to surpass Travis Etienne in my rankings, I would have tell you, stop drinking the whiskey. You got to get off the bottle. But Javonte Williams passed him, and I don't regret it. And I still like Travis Etienne. I actually have a first-round grade on all 3, Harris, Etienne, and Javonte Williams. Now, in the modern NFL, I do not think 3 running backs will go in the first round. But that's a different story. But I just do my grades, what I think they should be, but the NFL is changing. I like this player a ton. I've been drafting him in mock dynasty drafts, mock Devy drafts, mock everything. I'm getting at him at picks 7, 8, and 9. I like him so much.
Steal.
Yeah.
It's a steal, dude.
Yeah, if it was the camera Kyle Pitts there, I'm taking him.
Yeah.
I would say in a vacuum, you're right. Yeah. I would have to look at roster construction, but I agree with you in a vacuum.
He's going to give you immediate production.
The NFL's going to like him more than we do.
Nice.
Yep.
And I love that you compared him to Nick Chubb, because I actually wrote, he was the first Dynasty guy that I wrote up this year. And that was my comp, was Nick Chubb, because that's what I saw when I watched the tape. It looked like Nick Chubb out there.
Yeah, just watch him between the tackles. Forget on the edge. Just watch him between the tackles, man.
Love it. Love it. And that's why I thought it would be a little bit closer, too, because I actually like Javon. I haven't put him above Travis Etienne just yet, but I'm getting close. I'm like, do I put him above? I think you may have just pushed me over the edge there, John. I may have moved Williams up above Travis Etienne there. I love it.
Let me do one more thing. I'll give you I know you know Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel Jeremiah, and I've had Javonte Williams number 2 for 6 weeks, said he might put Javonte Williams at number 1.
Well,
I'm not that bullish yet. But if that means, Jeff, if I can push you, if I can get you on Team Williams, let's go, my man.
You got me. I'm on board. I'm on board.
I mean, if DJ's saying it.
He's really good, folks. He's really good.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Good stuff. All right, the West Division, the 1 and 2. The 1, of course, was Jamar Chase. The 2 was Rashad Bateman. Chase takes this matchup 87-13. So, Ryan, talk about Rashad Bateman a little bit.
I mean, I think it's just unfortunate he had to go against Jamar Chase in this. I love Rashad Bateman. He's my wide receiver 3 this year.
Wow.
My number 2.
He's your number 2?
Yeah, I love Rashad Bateman.
The thing about Bateman is, out of the other receivers not named Jamar Chase, I think he has the closest skill set where he could be a legit fantasy wide receiver 1. He has that deep ball ability. He can burn. He can win one-on-one matchups. He can go over the top. He runs the whole route tree. I love the whole skill set, man. He's so good.
He is good.
He is, and we've just kind of forgotten about him this year because he's only played a few games, and you have all this excitement out of Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle's absurd speed. But Rashad Bateman has speed at a 6'1" frame, and he plays physical. He could be a legit wide receiver 1 for a team. He's my dream pick for Baltimore. It's the only thing I want. It's all I want this year. Like,
oh, no. That's where receivers go to die.
Yeah, I know. We don't want him. We don't want him there.
Fantasy-wise, you can all kiss my ass about that, but I love Rashad Bateman. Man. I think the kid's just a damn good football player.
He is a damn good football player.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, we don't want him in Baltimore. No way. No, thank you. Put him somewhere where he can get some passes. All right, moving to the North Division in the Elite 8, we have the Alabama matchup here. Number 1 seed Devonta Smith, the number 2 seed Jalen Waddle. Smith takes this matchup 59-41. John, give me your thoughts on Jalen Waddle.
First, I'm surprised it's so close. I'm actually shocked. I mean, I have a pretty big difference between Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle. I like Waddle. I see the ceiling, the dynamism, the electricity, the speed. 5'10", 182. He is bigger than his teammate. And we'll talk about Devonta Smith in a bit. However, I mentioned the research on injuries. Jalen Waddle has now missed games the last 2 years. I wonder if he has 100-catch upside. I don't think he does. I think if he stays healthy, I think he's a ceiling of 70 catches with a lot of big-time home runs. So you might get 1,000 yards because he can take it to the house at any moment. And there is advantages for him to get on the field because of his kick returning skills. So he might get on the field immediately. But the injuries I'm a little bit worried about. I will not be surprised if he's the first receiver taken off the board. NFL teams are going to like him.
Yep.
We know they overrate
speed.
Now, I did not have one share of Henry Ruggs. I had him as my pre-draft number 6 receiver. I did not draft him in one Dynasty league last year. Hey, I could still be wrong. He could still have a good career. It's only been one season. But I wasn't going to bet on Henry Ruggs last year. I saw too many red flags in my model and my film study. But I think the NFL is going to like Waddle a lot more than I do. I'm probably not going to have a lot of shares of Jalen Waddle. I'd be much more happier with Javonte Williams and Elijah Moore in my drafts than Jalen Waddle and Michael Carter. I want to get the big back, and then I think there's a lot of gold in the second round of Dynasty drafts at wide receiver.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I love it. All right, we are up to the final four, and again, like I mentioned, it is all chalk. It is all number one seeds in the final four. So, Ryan, I'm gonna give you this one. Actually, I'll give you both a chance to talk about this one because I have a question too from the chat that I wanted to ask you. But the number one seed in the East Division was Najee Harris, and the number one seed in the South Division was Travis Etienne. Najee Harris takes this matchup 73-27. So, Travis Etienne, Ryan, what are your thoughts on him? And then I know you saw the question in the chat there that Gerson asked, his pro day, do you think it helped or hurt him today?
I think the pro days, you have to take it with a grain of salt this year. Would he run a 4.4 flat? Is that right, John?
Yeah, I would curve it to 4.45, 4.46.
Which is still flying. You watch Travis Etienne play, and you know he's fast. It's like if you let that affect what you thought, you like him because he's a big play running back and he can take the house anytime. That doesn't make him faster or slower. It's just what he is. It's fine. But I think he's a landing spot guy. I think him and Javonte Williams, how you were talking earlier, I think Williams is safer. But I think at the end, because landing in the right offense, he could skyrocket because he's such an explosive athlete. If he has an offense where he gets 15 to 18 carries, but he has some running lanes and not stacked box, he could be a monster. Because he could do that 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, bust off a 42-yard run, and have a good day off of 3 big runs. And that's fine with him. But I mean, he's RB2 or 3 this year. You're splitting hairs with him, but he's a solid player. He's one of the guys I feel safer taking this draft.
Yeah, you mentioned having those lanes and those cut throughs and all that, and I've seen him mocked a few times to the 49ers. So let's just put every running back in this class on the 49ers.
And then the Steelers also met with him and loved him supposedly too. Yep. So every running back's got those teams.
Yep, exactly. John, give us your thoughts on ETN.
I do like him. He's my number 3. I think he's going to have a very, very good NFL career. We have 3 really strong running backs in my model.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be happy if someone takes Javonte Williams and I end up with Travis Etienne. I'm fine with that. If I have my choice, I'm going to take Javonte Williams. But that's just my choice. I see the ceiling in an offense that uses him in the passing game. To me, the dynasty value is, will he get 50 receptions a year? I don't think he's a 1,300-yard rusher. I think he can be 1,000 yards or 950 to 1,050. You add 50 catches to that, and you get 1,600 yards from scrimmage, maybe. Then we're talking a very, very good fantasy asset.
John, do you remember in 2019 when nobody thought he could catch the ball?
There's no that I've heard things like that. I'm like, did you watch Clemson?
Yeah.
I mean, he always had pass catching ability, but he's got T. Higgins, Justin Ross, Amari Rodgers. I mean, they're loaded at Clemson at the pass catching position.
All right, so let's move over to the other side here, the West versus the North. We had the 2 receivers, Jamar Chase versus Devonta Smith. Jamar Chase takes this one pretty handily, 83-17. John, we'll go to you first on this one. Give us your thoughts on Devonta Smith.
I've grown to like him. When I first plugged him into my model in December, I saw 6'1", 175, and I don't believe that. I'm not sure if he is 175. But that was my first thought, and I've said this a few times, so if someone heard me on a different podcast or somewhere else, I have never heard in 40 years someone not getting weighed in at the Senior Bowl. That is the weirdest thing. He has to be a lot less than 175.
Yeah.
And we know Alabama fudges the numbers. So the idea that this young man is that small is a concern. However, he might be the unicorn. And I hate to use that term. When you watch the tape, he's special. He's special. The double moves, the deep, the quickness, the footwork, the body control, the toughness, the hands. Simply spectacular. He's unbelievable. He's T.Y. Hilton. He might be better. And T.Y. Hilton is a very good NFL player.
Yep.
And I think he's better than T.Y. Hilton. Why I have him at number 3, I just don't know if he has that ceiling of Julio Jones, Justin Jefferson, because of the size. I hope he ends up with a creative offensive coordinator. If he ended up, and I'm just going to insult him because I love to do this, Adam Gase, and he just lined him up on the same side of the field and never put him in motion and just told him to win one-on-one on every play for 60 plays a game, then he's going to get swallowed up. Forget about it. Adam Gase is just the death of passing. That might have been the worst offense I've ever seen in my life. Devonta Smith, put him in motion. Put him in the backfield. Put him at the Z. Put him at the slot. Put him at the X. Isolate him in advantageous matchups. Let him run down the field one-on-one. But you've got to be creative with them. But, man, if you are creative, you got a unicorn, that could be special, my friends.
I like it. And the effort of time, Ryan, give us your thoughts on Smith real quick.
I was going to say the unicorn thing. I think that landing spot with him is huge because there's two guys who come to mind who are like weird for their positions, how great they are, is Tyler Lockett and Tyreek Hill. They're both tiny speedsters who, if they didn't have an elite deep ball thrower, would struggle.
Yeah.
I want to see Devonta Smith with the quarterback who's consistent at throwing guys open deep. He can make those throws when he's wide open 40 yards down the field. If you took away those quarterbacks or those receivers, you may have what we saw with Henry Ruggs. Like, it legit could be that. And I want to see Devonta Smith land somewhere where he has a quarterback who will sling it to him. Because he doesn't all that, but that size and skills, it has to be used a particular way.
I like it. All right, we are up to the championship between Najee Harris and Jamar Chase. And like I said, I'll give you both a chance to talk about it. Jamar Chase actually takes this 57% to 43%. So we'll talk about Najee Harris first. John, give us your thoughts on this guy.
Special. I think he's actually underrated as an athlete. 6'2", 230 pounds. I wish we could see the combine on the 20-yard shuttle and the 3-cone drill, because I think he might have blown people out of the water. And I think he's faster than people believe he is, because he can be moving it. If you've seen him pop into the secondary, he get moving in that second level down the field. I think he's a really good athlete, a very underrated athlete. Not sure if he's in the Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley class, because they were just tremendous athletic. When you looked at the numbers at the combine, off the charts, great. But I think he could be close. He's not Derrick Henry, so I've heard that, but not as often as I used to like 3 months ago. He's not. He is Mark Ingram and Ricky Waters, if you remember the pass catcher from the 49ers and the Eagles. Guys, watch the film. I have Najee Harris graded as a better receiver than Travis Etienne. Najee Harris runs wheel routes 30 yards down the field. He's running crossing patterns. He's lining up as an H-back, crossing in front of linebackers' faces, catching the ball and beating safeties to the corner and going down the field. Najee Harris is a terrific route runner and pass catcher.
He's my top-rated receiving back.
He's mine
Like,
too.
he's my number one rated receiving back. It's unbelievable, and he's 230 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, if you have him catching a ball out of the flats or down the field a little bit, corners gonna have to make a business decision.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Harris is a monster. I wrote Steven Jackson down when I caught him because that's the only guy that big I've ever seen catch the ball like that.
Yes.
And
I think he's actually more dynamic than Steven Jackson. I do. But when Steven Jackson was young, he was dynamic. But I think Najee Harris is more.
Steven Jackson lasted a long time.
He lasted a long time.
Yeah.
He lasted a long time for us to remember how good he was. But Najee Harris is, he's the cream of the crop of the running backs this year. Like, I'd like to say the other guys are close, but they're not, man. He's so good. And it's that receiving ability that really separates him because he's a tremendous runner.
Yeah.
But
Good stuff, fellas. Good stuff. We got one more guy to talk about. Our champion tonight, Mr. Jamar Chase. You know, he didn't play this year. He opted out. That's how good he is. He's still going to be the top rookie, top wide receiver, not even playing a year. So, Brian, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Give us your thoughts on Jamar Chase.
I mean, I was kind of shocked. I was a little, not fully shocked, but a little shocked he beat out Harris because of the mocks I've been in. Harris has been consistently going one.
Yep.
But Jamar Chase's upside, I mean, there was no ceiling. He has top 3 Dynasty receiver upside, if not number 1. He was averaging, 24 or 23 a carry. He dominated the national championship the last time we saw him play. He outshined Justin Jefferson, who had the best season we've seen out of a rookie since, like John said earlier, Randy Moss. He's a superstar. He wins it every way. He's a prototypical wide receiver one. Like, I can't say anything bad about him. He's the Blitnikoff winner for when he played. There's no receivers even close in this draft to him.
Nice. I like it.
I think he'd been my number 1 receiver last year, too, if he'd have put him in that class, not knowing what we know now.
Yeah. John?
I think we forget how amazing he was. He had set single-season records at LSU with 1,780 receiving yards and 20 touchdowns, which were subsequently just broke by Devonta Smith, which that tells you how good Devonta Smith's season was. He is 6 feet, 206 pounds. He can play the X. He can play the Z. You could also put him in the slot. Now, they did it because we know the criticism last year was Justin Jefferson played out of the slot at LSU, and that's why some people didn't like him, which proved to be hokey pokey because they put him in Minnesota and the guy was a stud. But Jamar Chase is so good and Justin Jefferson was so good, why are you going to do anything? But I think you can play Jamar Chase anywhere. He has that upside. Like, if you told me right now, 3 years from now, Jamar Chase had 125 receptions for 1,600 yards and 13 touchdowns, I would be like, yep, no surprise. He has that complete alpha male fantasy stud ceiling. And that's what we're looking for. He is that guy in this class. My only reservation now, the narrative was that was Jamar Chase's offense and Justin Jefferson fed off of it. I am now started to look back and do some film watching and do a little bit critical thinking. I think it was Justin Jefferson's offense.
Ooh.
And Jamar Chase fed off of it.
Oof.
Because we've seen what Justin Jefferson did. The narrative was always that Justin Jefferson was a 3-star prospect. He wasn't that good. Justin Jefferson's Randy Moss, folks. I really don't think people have grasped how great of a season Justin Jefferson had. I've been playing fantasy football for 33 years. Justin Jefferson had a better season than Randy Moss. And I didn't think anyone could do just Randy Moss's rookie season. And Justin Jefferson just beat it. And Anquan Bolden. I think they're the 3 super studs and I don't think Anquan Bolden was as dynamic as Randy Moss or Justin Jefferson. What if and that's my only, in the back of my mind, I think that was Justin Jefferson's offense.
Wow.
But everyone wanted to give Jamar Chase the credit. But doesn't mean I don't have him at number 1.
Yeah, he's still number 1.
But I am starting to think about the whole narrative a lot differently of that LSU offense after what Jamar. You can't deny Justin Jefferson just went in and pimp slapped NFL defensive backs.
I love it. So John in one breakdown has used the word hokey pokey and pimp slap. I love it. All right, that wraps up the bracket, and of course we end every show with the Forgotten Fantasy Player, which is basically a tailor-made segment for John because he goes back so far. So let's go ahead and hit that drop.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, John, you always come strong on these, so don't disappoint tonight.
I'm going way back, mid-'80s, baby. Going to the great Dan Marino and the Marks brothers. But I'm not going to give you a duper. It is Mark Clayton that made that offense. Mark Clayton, I will never forget this season in 1984. 73 receptions, which you might think in 2021. 73. No. This is 1984, folks. 1,389 yards. 19 yards per catch. Now, he had Dynamic Dan throwing him the ball. But he set a record with 18 touchdowns in 1984. Subsequently, it was broke by Jerry Rice in like 1987, I think. But Mark Clayton ended up very quietly 5,000-yard seasons in 8 years, led the NFL in touchdowns twice, 1984 and 1988. In 1988, he had 86 receptions for 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns. For his career, Mark Clayton had 84 touchdowns, which you've got to understand, this is the 80s and early 90s. He probably finished his NFL career in the top 10 all-time in touchdowns when he put down the cleats in 1993. 8,974 career yards and averaged 15.4 yards per catch.
Wow.
Mark Clayton was a fantasy stud. Everyone talks about Marino. Everyone loves Mark Duper. Mark Clayton was the better player of the two. And I'll tell you this, one of the greatest days I ever had. Went to the old Sullivan Stadium in New England. Because I was a huge Dan Marino and Dolphins fan. We got first row seats literally on the Dolphins side of the field in like 1988. And Mark Clayton was talking so much crap to the New England Patriots fans. He was just all over the fans, bragging, talking smack. It was one of the funniest days I've ever had. Now, if you remember, and you're old like me, the Patriots had the Dolphins' numbers in the late 80s. Dan Marino had real problems playing the New England Patriots. And the Patriots actually won that day, and the fans started giving it back to Mark Clayton by the fourth quarter, and Clayton had to leave the field. He left the field early because he got hurt and the Dolphins were getting killed. But Mark Clayton is one of the great underrated wide receivers. And everyone says, and look, I'm not going to deny Dan Marino's greatness, but look at Mark Clayton's numbers. They're pretty astronomically great for the late 1980s.
I love it. I love how John, you do it the best way. You set the scene. You have like a whole story. A lot of times you were at a game where you saw this player. You do the Forgotten Fantasy Player better than anybody else, and I love it. I love having you on, man.
That's very kind. Thank you. Good memory.
I was -1 years old for that game.
Dude, you know what? In the old days, and this is, the NFL was so cheap. We would go down to New England to scalp. And I saw John Elway, I saw Dan Marino, I saw Dave Craig.
Nice.
Like, we would get tickets the day of the game for like $10 or $15, my friends.
Wow, that's awesome.
No one went to New England in 1986.
That's what Pittsburgh Pirates tickets are.
All right, we definitely ran long, but we still have people in the chat room there, so I think a couple of them hung around here, but you can't tell John to hurry up. John's just great. I love having John on. Just 2-hour show. Who cares? I love it. Every minute of it. Let's really quick go around the room. Give us your Twitter handle real quick. If anything you want to plug, John, we'll go to you first.
Thank you. Please follow me on Twitter at GridironSkull91. I couldn't afford the A and the R, so it's GridironSkull91. And please go to the Rookie Big Board on YouTube. My partner Matt Hicks and I have our draft seminar series. We have 25 10-minute profiles up there. A lot of the players we spoke about tonight, we've already profiled. And every Sunday from now till the draft, we come out with 5 new profiles on the Rookie Big Board. And we are also affiliated with NFL Draft Bible, so you can catch our stuff up there also.
Good stuff. Ryan, what you got?
Obviously, find me here every whatever night we are now because we've been moving. And also at the Draft Bible, we do our shows come out Wednesday mornings as well with Eric Adams.
All right, good stuff. As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I'm not going to plug anything because we've been running long, but just follow me on Twitter. Everything is there. Have a good night.